everybody. Thank you for joining me again. This is Jasmine, the host of the Ethereal Pathways podcast. This week on our mini-series, we're continuing on with the Heart Chakra. So if you haven't chimed in to any of the previous episodes in this mini-series, I'm going over the chakra system in the body and what each chakra system governs and how it ties into the body and parts of the body that it affects and when you have a blockage and things like that. So this week we are on the fourth energy center or chakra center, and that is the heart chakra. Obviously it's going to be in the middle of the chest here where your heart is. And so I'm just going to read a little bit of information about it and just go from there. So the heart chakra is the fourth energy center in the body. In this center, it's located in the center of the chest. And it is associated with love, compassion, and connection. It's symbolized by the color green, and it serves as a bridge between the lower physical chakras, earthly realm chakras, which is your lower three. That would be your solar plexus, your sacral, and your root chakra. And then the upper chakras, the crown chakra, my mind just went blank. Oh my goodness. So anyway, the upper three chakras. So it actually is the bridge between both worlds, the physical and the spiritual. So there we go. A balanced heart chakra leads to feelings of love, empathy, and joy, while an imbalance can manifest as emotional pain, jealousy, or a fear of intimacy. So I'm just going to go into a little bit about this. So when I said the bridge between the physical and the spiritual realm, it acts as a bridge between the lower three and the upper three chakras. It helps to harmonize and tie together the experience of the earthly realm with the spiritual and what you're going through in your experience in the spiritual realm. Emotions and relationships. This is a center for giving and receiving love, empathy, forgiveness, and compassion. Obviously, that's pretty common sense when you have a blockage there. A lot of times it's due to a pain from a heartbreak or somebody doing you wrong, and you're harboring, some kind of unforgiveness, in there, and that kind of creates the blockage. It governs your capacity for forming meaningful connections with others and with yourself as well. And the physical connections linked to the heart, the lungs, and the circulatory system. There we go. Its element is air, which connects to breathing and the feeling of freedom and expansiveness, which is that makes sense. Color is green, like I mentioned before, which this color green symbolizes growth and renewal. And let's see, when it's out of balance, like I mentioned, you'll have some emotional blockages like unforgiveness, unprocessed emotions from a heartache, I think even unexpressed emotions, even though that would kind of, affect your throat chakra for unspoken, it does affect the heart chakra as well because you're not processing those emotions and speaking them and verbalizing them and getting them out. And it can, in an imbalance or a blockage in the heart chakra, can lead to feelings of sadness, anger, resentment, jealousy, or a fear of intimacy and commitment. Sorry about that. A little alarm I had going off there. So physical symptoms, it can manifest as physical issues in the body when you have a blockage or an imbalance in your heart chakra. It can manifest as difficulty breathing, high blood pressure, or poor circulation in the arms and the hands. When you balance, there's ways to balance the heart chakra. You can do yoga just like with the other chakras. Yoga is, very much definitely a supportive exercise, for relieving blockages and things. Breathing is very important. Obviously, that's the air element with the heart chakra and governs the lungs. So it would make sense that would directly tie into the heart chakra when you're doing breathing exercises. You could practice yoga poses that open the chest and the shoulders and focus on deep breathing exercises to bring in the air element. You can also do meditations and visualizations just like with the other chakras. For this one, you can visualize a warm, glowing green light in your chest, the center of your chest. And you can also use affirmations such as, I feel love, and I receive love, and I'm open to receive love. I am compassionate, and I am love is another one. Affirmations and self-love. Intentionally practice self-compassion, forgiveness, and acceptance. So anywhere, and this, I've mentioned this in I think it was one of my first few episodes of my podcast. One of the things that when I started my healing journey, when I decided to get a divorce from my most recent ex-husband, I had heard one way that you can begin the healing process is by making a list of everybody that has hurt you. And I know that for some people it may be a long list, you would think. But you may be surprised. It may only be, 5 or 6 people. In my case, it was about that many that came up and right away. And I wrote down the names on a piece of paper in order that came to my mind. And so that's your list of people that you're going to write a letter to. And you're going to express all of the pain and emotions in those letters as if you're going to hand it to that person. And don't hold anything back. If you feel like you need to use some certain type of language, get it all out. Excuse me. So do whatever it is to fully express the, thoughts and emotions that you've kept pent up from that person. And you may have never even been able to speak or verbalize to that person because they may be passed. Like in my case, 2 or 3 of them, the person had passed. So I hadn't expressed those emotions to them physically, so I needed to get that out. And so this is a very good exercise for beginning to clear heart chakra blockages. And I would just write that letter. I typed it in my case. I don't do a lot of handwriting, so my hand will cramp pretty quickly. I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that are big typists on your computer. That will, empathize with me on that. So I type all day at my job, so I can type way quicker than I can handwrite. So, and plus my hand will get cramped. So I apologize for the chimes. I just got a delivery order. So I began down the list one by one in the order of writing down the list. I started, I typed them, each of those people a letter, and you would be amazed. I was amazed at the difference that it made, the emotions that came out while I was typing them and getting everything off my chest. I didn't feel shy. I was told not to feel shy about anything. Don't feel guilty about expressing anything like, oh, that's terrible, I shouldn't say that. No, because you need to get whatever feelings that it made you feel, the hurt, the pain, whatever, curse words, whatever it is, you want to fully express yourself authentically. You need to put it in that letter as if you're going to give it to that person. You don't have to give it to the person, but you need to do it as if you're speaking to that person and get it all off your chest. And that's the important part. And I think with my first 2 on my list were my parents, both parents. And with one letter, I was crying the entire letter. The other letter, I was fuming mad. So it was pretty eye-opening for me to see the pent-up emotions that I had not processed or spoken that now had an outlet, now had, egress out of my body and out of my spirit. And so I did feel immediately better once I got my crying done or my anger out. And really, you just type it or write it until the emotions are completely gone, until you feel a lot calmer and you feel, come back down and you feel much better. And then you can just end the letter, however you want to end it. But what I was told to do and, what I did was I actually, mindfully deleted the letters when I was ready to delete them. And I gave it to God. And I said, Lord, I give this to you, thank you for, I thank the person, for the lessons that they taught me in those hard lessons and the pain and everything. I looked at it from a higher perspective with love. And I said, I release you to God. I release these emotions to God and love and enlighten. And I thank you, God, Jesus, for taking this from me. I thank you for healing my heart. And, I just send love. And I release this, And so I deleted the letters. Or if you've written the letters or printed them out, whatever, you can send them off, with fire. However you feel like you're guided to do that. As long as you're doing it with intention in your heart and your mind of releasing it fully and not holding on to any bit of it. That's the important part. And you could speak it in your head or you could speak it out loud, that you're releasing this to source, to God, in love and in light and, forgiveness of this person. So that was huge for me. I noticed an immediate difference in my energy levels, my mood, my spirits. Over time, as things started coming up from those wounds, I was starting to process emotions that would just kind of come and go like waves for those people. And it would just come randomly sometimes. Or somebody would say something, like a family member would say something about, that family member. And, it would bring up another wave of emotions. You just got to learn to accept it, cry it out, get mad, whatever, and move on and leave it, because it is a healing process and it's going to take time to fully, release all those emotions and get it out. But this is a good way of beginning that process of, getting to the root problem and beginning to release it and, letting that blockage begin to start flowing again. It's kind of like, you get a creek and you get, after a big storm, you get this big, walled up, bunch of logs and sticks and leaves and debris, that clog up creeks sometimes. And it'll back up creeks like a dam. And then eventually overflows over the debris. And then it'll push the debris further down and get blocked further down. So, just think of it like that. I mean, it's basically the same thing. When you finally release that initial blockage, you're going to have a little bit of a flood of emotions. And then those little pieces are going to, get stuck further down and they're going to get, to where it's going to build up a little bit more. And then poof, another release comes. So it's kind of like that, the way I've experienced and the way I have heard others, express that how it is for them during their healing process. So, don't feel like, I thought I got over this. Why am I crying about this person again or this situation again? Don't beat up on yourself. Don't judge yourself. Just feel the emotions in the moment. Don't try to suppress them. Don't try to, push them down. Don't try to deny them. Just feel it in the moment. Express it and hold space and love for yourself and grace for yourself. That's the most important thing, is to just hold that grace and love for yourself and knowing this is part of my human experience. This is why I'm here, is to experience these things, the full range of emotions with all these hard experiences that we come on earth here to learn. It teaches us to grow spiritually and personally, and it makes us more, better rounded individuals when we work through those emotions and we experience them fully. And so just don't be hard on yourself. That's the most important thing to remember. And so I just wanted to, share that with some people. That's some things that really helped me. I'm still healing. Obviously, we all are. I just had another wave of emotions this last week over, some people. So it happens. But I just wanted to share that with you. I hope it helps some people out there going through something similar or not knowing where to start to clear what you believe is blockages in your heart chakra. And if you do have those physical ailments, this is, I'm not saying I'm a doctor or anything, but this is also something you can look into, as well as, go into your medical professional and getting checked, obviously those things checked out. Do the spiritual as well. It'll help. It helps all the way around in my, experience. So I hope this helps some of you out there. If you want to connect with me, I'm listing my email in the description box, etherealpathways144@gmail.com. Thank you so much for supporting my channel, and I hope to see you again for the next mini-series episode, which is going to be on the throat chakra. Yay, one of my favorites. So I hope you catch me next week for that, and I leave you in love and light. Take care.